So, good evening, everyone. Today we're talking a bit more specifically about weekends. I've talked to actually loads of you guys inside the program at the moment about weekends. Um, they are definitely trickier than the weekday. Definitely, definitely. So, we're going to delve into this today. My aim, and hopefully what I want you guys to feel by the end of this call, is that you know exactly how to tackle your weekends. But I want two main things. I want you to feel like you know how to deal with the weekends so that you make progress, keep losing weight, but also that you don't feel like you have to absolutely sacrifice everything and you have to stay in your house and never go out and never do anything. I want you to come away feeling like you can do that without having to do that. That's my aim for you. So first things first, common issues that we find. And again, like I've talked to you guys loads about this week, but it's much easier to stay on track with your calorie deficit in particular during the week. Gym workouts, steps as well. It's much harder. I tend to feel like it's very normal to fall off at the weekends. And I know that you guys, even prior to joining this program, said that you felt like you were kind of like stuck in a cycle of that. No idea how to stay on track on the weekends, no idea what to do. But also not wanting to miss out, like not wanting to have any FOMO and not thinking you're missing out on big events, whether it's like birthday meals, work events where you're socializing, like anything like that, or even just a friend randomly goes, let's go out for brunch, I'm taking you out, or your partner's like, it's our anniversary, I'd love to take you to a restaurant. Like, yes, you are losing weight, but you don't want to feel like you're missing out on that stuff as well, and I totally get that. What also can happen as well is that when you're kind of in this headspace on this program trying to lose weight, weekends can become and events out, meals out can become quite a stressful thing because you're so worried about going over your calories, you don't really know how to tackle it, you don't really have a game plan. And as a result, you end up feeling quite alienated from events. You end up not enjoying them, and they actually become quite a source of stress, which we obviously really don't want. If you guys want to stick at this, if you want to lose weight, all of you here have got, big weight loss goals. If you want to keep it off for life, like you definitely need to know how to plan for your weekends and like work them into your health and fitness routine as well. What can then happen is if we start to feel stressed, the effort button activates. How many of you guys have kind of thought, oh God, no, it's Friday night. I was meant to have dinner at home, but my partner's gone, let's go get dinner out instead or something. You have that one meal off, that one meal kind of off plan. I'm saying off plan in quote marks because obviously we don't believe in giving you guys strict meal plans at all. Once you have that one meal that's not quite how you want to go, you don't really know how to navigate, the effort button activates and you think, what's the point in me staying consistent the rest of the time? Like I've ruined it with that one meal. If there's no calories on the menu that you're going to as well, like it's hard to know what to do, what's the point? And also common issues is just alcohol in general, liquid calories. You don't have to totally cut your alcohol out, but there is a strategy that we'll talk about today and how you can kind of still incorporate some alcohol into your diet and stay on track, most importantly. So what we actually want, we don't want any of this. We don't want any of these common issues. But what we do want is we want you saying yes to meals out, to occasions, to trips, to weekends away, whatever it might be. We don't want you to have any stress or anxiety in social situations. We don't want you to be feeling alienated. We want you to feel included. We want you to still enjoy going out. And we want you to feel like you can stay on track, not completely screw over your progress, but also just to continue promoting food freedom. The most important thing and the biggest thing that I care about for all of you guys is that you have a good relationship with food. Food doesn't fill you with dread, fill you anxiety. It's not even something that constantly plagues your mind and like takes up loads of headspace. I want you to have a really healthy relationship with your diet and relationship with food. So let's dive in. I've got some kind of step by steps for you. It's always good to make notes, guys. If you want to make notes, if you write things down, you're much more likely to retain them. So do feel free to make notes. I do know that I speak quite fast as well. I'm going to try and not waffle through and speak super quick, but making notes is a good point. If not, obviously, I'm going to upload this to YouTube so you guys can come back and listen to this whenever you want. So let's go through. First things first, some of you would have heard of this, but a lot of you that are new in the program that are on this call, you might not have heard about calorie banking before. So I'm going to break it down. Calorie banking is a tool that you can use so that you can still plan for meals out that you know about in advance, have the meal out, but stay in your calorie deficit. The first key part that you need to do with this is you need to view your calories as a weekly target and not a daily target. So let's say, for example, that your target is 1,800 calories a day. That's your calorie deficit. I've just picked a random number there. Instead of thinking I only have that 1,800 window a day, what you actually have is if you times that by 7 days of the week, you've got 12,600 calories for the week. When you start to do this with your steps as well, when you start to do this with your calories and your steps especially, it ends up creating less anxiety and a lot more freedom because you don't have to suddenly think, oh, if I don't hit that 1800 one day or if I go over, I've ruined everything. You can actually put some things in place so that you stay at the 12,600 for the week, for example. Obviously, this is just a random number. You all have different calorie goals. Once you start doing that, so you know what your weekly target is rather than your daily, you can start to plan ahead for your event. Let's say, for example, that you have an event, a meal out on Saturday. You know about this in advance and it's Monday. What you can do Monday to Saturday is bank 100 to 200 calories per day. So if your goal was 1800, you would then eat either 1600 or 1650 or 1700 calories that day and save 100 calories. If you did that for Monday to Saturday, you'd have anywhere from an extra 600 to 1200 calories extra to play with. So when Saturday rolls around and you've got that meal, you've got a whole buffer of calories that you kind of have in your toolkit that you can then save and use up. And I would always recommend taking this from your carbs and your fats more than anything. Carbs and fats, we want to be eating them daily. They're very important. But when it comes to dieting specifically, protein is the most filling of your macros, and obviously fiber as well. Fiber combined together, they're very filling and obviously good for your gut health. So I would recommend trying to take them a little bit from your carbs and your fats instead, so that you're not starving hungry. Um, and if it's the other way around, let's say you have an unplanned event. Let's say that someone goes, I'm taking you out for dinner tonight. We're going. Oh my God, I haven't blanked for that. I didn't know about this meal. That's okay. You can just kind of do the reverse. So you can track what you've had, make an estimate. Always use ChatGPT to make an estimate. It's a game changer if you don't have the menu and the menu calories on there. You can just make up for it during the rest of the week. So let's say you go over by like 500 calories on the Saturday, you can then just use the next few days to scale back by 100 and you'll balance out your calorie goal. So the big thing for that, like I said, is viewing your calories as a weekly target instead of daily. And this just requires a little bit of planning ahead. But you'll hear me say this loads, anyone that's new, I say this all the time. Half the battle with this game, half the battle with losing weight is just being willing, the willingness to be a bit organized. You don't have to be like an absolute militant sergeant and plan everything to the tether, but the more that you plan, the easier it becomes. And actually, flexibility create and rigidity doesn't create flexibility. We want to make sure that we're being flexible with our plans and doing a bit of planning ahead isn't restrictive. It actually creates a lot of freedom for you. So that's the first big thing. The second thing, if you have meals ahead that you know about, pick from the menu ahead of time. Again, that little bit of planning to create a bit of flexibility in your week. If you know where you're going, look at the menu online and pick something. If there isn't calorie info, like I said, use ChatGPT for an estimate. It's really great. AI definitely has some really good uses in that sense. If it doesn't have it, get it to give you a rough estimate. And pick and pre-track it ahead of time. So then you can plan the rest of your week around that. You can do a bit of calorie banking if you need to, or you can just eat a bit less on the weekend. Um, Try to pick a high protein source from the menu as much as you can. Obviously, if you're going to like a full pizza restaurant, you're probably not going to pick the most high protein option there, but as much as you can, when you're trying to lose weight, pick something on the menu that's got some good protein, add lots of veg for volume and padding out your meals. You know, low calorie, high volume eating is a really good idea to do so that you feel like you're full. And then also, I always recommend picking a rule of two. So if you've got a starter, main, dessert, and alcoholic drink, pick two of those when you're dieting. So either pick a starter and a main and a dessert, a main and a drink, a starter and a drink if you wanted to be really crazy, but I would personally always go for a main because I love my food. Pick two of those and mix and match and think, what two am I going to have? So that you're not going full out and kind of like going loads of calories over, but you are still enjoying the occasion. You're just making a couple of little sacrifices. The third thing is just being aware of alcohol. A lot of people make the mistake in not tracking their alcohol. I think also because we know that, particularly like beer, wine, cocktails, we know that they're really high calorie. I think sometimes there's a bit of embarrassment about tracking them as well. Obviously, there's never any judgment on what you guys have in your diet. Like we're always here to encourage you and give you support on like how to up your protein, how to have a balanced diet, how to get more fiber in. You know, we always want to give you advice there. But if you're someone that likes to have an alcoholic drink, like we're not going to judge you for that in any way at all, and you're allowed to have it. So make sure that you're just aware of the liquid calories that you're consuming with the alcohol as well, and track them as well. Like if you think you're going to have an alcoholic drink or two, pre-track them. Up your water intake on that day of the event of the meal as well. When you're dieting, it is something that you need to think about just reducing alcohol. You don't need to cut it entirely out. It's just something to be really aware of. Smart swaps when you're out with alcohol as well. Like I said, beer, wine, cocktails, they're the highest calorie. So some good swaps that you can do when you're dieting can be spirits and diet mixers. They're always really easy, lower calorie. Also champagne randomly is really low in calorie. I think 4 glasses of champagne is the same calories as 1 glass of wine. So if you're feeling really fancy, you could go for some champagne. Yeah, if you do have alcohol, don't shy away from tracking it. Don't feel embarrassed tracking it. Allow the calories for it. Just be aware of the impact that it has. So alcohol in itself inherently, like the reason why it's always something to be really, really aware of is that it impacts your sleep, first of all. It impacts your deep sleep, like your restorative sleep. And it also just has a bit of an impact to fat loss because when you've got alcohol in your system, your body is going to prioritize getting rid of the alcohol out of your system and it's not really going to prioritize burning fat. Again, that's not me saying don't have it at all. It's just something to be very mindful of when you're trying to lose weight. Number four is all about preparation. So no one wants to create a plan for their calorie deficit or for their diet on the night out. Obviously, we're not insane, we're not robots. I'm not expecting you to do that. But we don't want to do that, and that's kind of why we hit the effort button. But you need to be willing to prepare prior to the event with the things that we just talked about. So when it comes to this, when you have a meal out or whatever it might be, whether it's a special occasion, always ask yourself these three questions first of all. What is your main priority that week? Do you want to maintain the progress that you've been making in the program 100%? Or are you okay with your progress slowing a little bit, but have more flexibility on the night out? Or would you rather like, I'm not going to make any progress this week. I'm probably not going to lose any weight. However, I will be able to just like fully relax, have whatever I want. I want you to ask yourself those questions and which one to you is the most important to you in that moment. Whichever you pick is okay. Like, I'll support the choice that you make, and so will Adam. You just need to be okay with the outcome. Like, if you pick option number one, you'll have to just be okay with the fact that you'll have to make some sacrifices at the meal and you can't just relax and have anything and everything that you want. Vice versa, if you just completely come off the program and just have everything and kind of go a bit mental, that's also okay. You just need to be okay with the outcome that you're probably not going to lose weight that week. Whichever one you go for is fine. Just be comfortable with that. So you've got kind of like three options there. So maintaining progress, if you want to make sure for a fact, no doubt that you lose fat that week, you carry on the path that you're on, what you have to do, and this is what you would need to do, minimal to no drinking, because obviously alcohol does have quite a lot of impact on your fat loss. You'd need to get an early night because sleep also is really important. You'd need to calorie bank ahead of time, and you'd need to pick what you have before you go out. That's if you're like, this meal out is just like a random catch-up meal or something. I want to make sure that I lose weight no matter what. If you are really not bothered about not losing weight that week at all, just go all in. Just have a meal out, just enjoy it as normal. But like I said, be okay with that. Or if you want to get a mixture of both, the approach would be give yourself a limit on drinks. So you're not cutting the alcohol, but maybe you're saying, okay, I'm going to have 2 or 3 drinks max and alternate it with water, just so that you're as hydrated as you can be. Do a little bit of calorie banking. But allow yourself some more calories in the evening and plan something active for the next day. So if you know, oh, I'm going to go a little bit more blowout here, I know I'm going to have a few more calories, book a gym session for the next day or book a walk in or something, or meet up with a friend and go off for a walk and grab a coffee. Plan something active for the next day so that you can just kind of like get back to normal. The next thing, do not activate the effort button, which I know we've talked about. If you do have a meal, let's say you have a meal that's unplanned, someone's taking you out for dinner, or you've got an unexpected weekend away or something like that, 1 day or even 2 days off plan is going to do absolutely nothing to impact your progress at all. But what you do and how you choose to respond to that day will then respond to your progress. If you're someone now watching this and you think you're kind of stuck in that cycle of like, you try to do really well in the week, you go blow out on the weekend, you punish yourself, and then that 1 day off track blows into like a week, 2 weeks, a month, 2 months, however long it is off track. If you're someone that's stuck in that cycle, that's definitely something that you're going to need to break, and you're going to have to really consciously think of that. 1 day off plan isn't going to do anything to impact, it's just how you respond to it. So if you have one off day, let it just be 1 day. Do not let it turn into a week. Jump back on it the next day and never ever dwell on the past as well. Like if you make a mistake, it's okay. They're always lessons. Mistakes are always lessons, and I like to think of them as lessons rather than failures or mistakes. Admit that like something could have been better, but don't dwell in the past and just keep looking to the future and think, okay, I might have messed up a bit there, but what can I do next time to make it better? And don't beat yourself up and don't punish yourself and don't let it spiral. Other thing I want you to remember is that tracking isn't forever. Like what you're doing in this program, tracking your food, it's not going to be a forever thing for you. It's an educational tool to get you to learn where your limits are. Social events aren't always going to require you to have to be like this if you're trying to lose weight. You're not going to have to always plan ahead, always track into MyFitnessPal. And you don't have to sacrifice absolutely everything to have success. You don't have to give up your entire life. But I'm never going to lie to you guys and say, oh, don't worry, like you can just go out and do whatever you want on the weekends, you'll be absolutely fine. You don't have to give up everything, but there does have to be an element of sacrifice if you want to create the life that you want. If you're really serious about losing weight, you want to get to your goal, yes, you can still go out, but you just can't go out in the way that you used to, for now at least. And it's a temporary thing. You can't, you're going to have to do a little bit of planning ahead. You're going to have to be willing to do that and like willing to do a bit of planning. But remember that it's not a permanent thing. Other thing I want to touch on is just like the opinions of friends as well. A lot of time, I think people are worried to say that maybe they're not drinking at an event or maybe they're not having dessert, or for whatever reason, because of the path they're on. I think people worry about maybe offending people, maybe upsetting people, making them feel bad. Or maybe you're worried about kind of like maybe by being judged by people that you're with. It might be a lot of different things, but this is something to really touch base on. Accept that you're on a different journey. Like maybe none of your friends are on a weight loss journey at the moment. Maybe some of them are, which is great. But maybe a lot of them aren't, and accept that you are on a different path to them, at least right now, and for the next few months ahead, you are. Learn to not feel bad saying no to friends, and don't feel like you have to people please. Start thinking about yourself first and saying yes to yourself. This is coming from myself, who honestly, I think pretty much like most of my life, I've been a bit of an inherent people pleaser. I've really struggled with that, particularly in my like kind of like early 20s. And I've done a lot of work over the years to kind of try and quieten that down and not always try and think of other people before myself and think, actually, I'm going to think about me. I always used to like feel, oh, like what if I tell people I'm trying to lose weight and like they judge me or they tell me I shouldn't or anything like that. Or if I tell them I'm trying to lead a healthier lifestyle, like what the judgment that comes with that. If they are your genuine friends, of course, they're not going to be like that. They're going to be really supportive, but don't let other people's opinions or what people might say hold you back from putting your health first. And like try not to people please and just be really conscious of that if you think you are someone like me that naturally can be a bit of a people pleaser. Ask your friends to be supportive. I'm sure they will. Like I said, like genuine friends always are really supportive. Sometimes it's just a case of just telling them what your goals are and like the journey that you're on, and they'll be fully supportive of you. You can always bring other suggestions of where to go or what to do as well. Like, yes, some events, some meetups are probably going to be meals out, but maybe not every single one has to be. Maybe sometimes it can just be, can we meet up and grab a coffee? Or could we go for a walk and take a coffee with us on the go? Or something like that, something different that doesn't solely revolve around food. And that will really help them as well. Like that will really help them to manage expectations and to like know that your journey that you're on. And I guarantee that if you kind of share that, friends, family members, loved ones, partners as well, I'm sure that if you tell them that, that will really help them to support you even more as well, which is a massive, great thing. Final thing I kind of want to touch on here, just some things that I want you to remember. Each situation when it comes to meals out and weekends will be different, but your preparation for it can be the exact same. Like all the things that we've gone over here, calorie banking, being aware of your alcohol, asking yourself what's most important to you in that moment, all those things that we've talked about, the preparation for it can be the same. Ask yourself those three questions that we talked about to determine how you prepare. Obviously, every week when we go through your guys' check-in, we always talk to you about any weekend plans. You can let me know what your intention is. If your intention is like, you know what, I'm going away for the weekend, I'm just going to go for it, that's totally fine. Just like let me know or let Adam know as well. All three of those things are okay. You just need to manage your expectations and you need to know what will lead and what will happen the next day because of the action that you take, if that makes sense. If you do have a big weekend meal, any weight put on the day after will just be water weight. It's just water retention. You've had more salt, you've had alcohol, you've had more carbs probably, you probably had different sleep. So that's just going to be a spike on the scales. It's just going to be water retention. The main thing you need to do is to not let that affect you. And it's about how you act going into the next day and into the next week. If you're someone where you think that weekends are constantly having an effect on your progress, like you're stuck in that cycle, every weekend comes and you just feel like it knocks you off your feet and you're kind of like starting at zero again on Monday. It's affecting your progress, but not only like your fat loss progress, your effort, your mood, and like your motivation inside the program as well. Something would 100% need to change, like 100%. And I'm not going to lie to you about that. But also don't forget, like talking about the opinions of friends and stuff like that, people really actually don't care as much as you think they do. It's not all or nothing. And I guarantee you that if you shared with the people close around you what you're doing, if you think they might judge you, I guarantee you that they will not. They'll be really, really supportive. And the final thing is that, the saying of if you fail to prepare, prepare to fail. When it comes to weekends, when you're in a calorie deficit, that is very, very true. Like I said, half the battle is just having the willingness to plan ahead a little bit and do a bit of organizing. And if you do that, you'll end up feeling much happier, and you'll stay on target as well. So that's everything for this call. I really hope that was useful for you guys, particularly anyone that is struggling with weekends at the moment. If you have any questions, chuck them in the group chat. Unless they're super, super personal to you, then obviously you can message me. But after this, I want you to put a hashtag mindset into the group chat as well if you've listened live. And I just want you to share your biggest takeaway, your biggest learning, or even like a personal story or a little anecdote or something that you relate to with this topic. I'm going to let you guys go. Have a lovely evening, and I will catch up with you all tomorrow.